Sweet. Been on your scooter already this morning?
Yeah, here, nice 11-minute move actually. No traffic lights for some reason. It was just perfectly timed. Wonderful. Just around the corner.
Guys, my name's Dean Payne from the Crate Flexible Office Space. We normally have the awesome Rory from Naked Marketing, but no show today. Shocker.
Slacker.
Apparently he's out there getting a little bit of self-development, you know, sorting himself out. He needs it. And our Carpool Honcho guest that I'm very excited is Nathan Smith from First Edit Services. Welcome, Nathan. So good to have you in the Carpool Honcho
Finally
with us,
got me
mate.
here. Well done.
I know, it took me a bit. You finally conceded.
You're a persuasive character.
But we're obviously really stoked to have you at the Crate and part of the fam. So I think you've got a little more relaxed with us now. He's like, okay, I'll do it. I guess I have to.
Yeah, I even went to go watch a movie with you guys last night, which was great. Go and see Top Gun. Fantastic movie.
So good.
Yeah.
Anyway, we've got some great chats today. Before we go any further, we want to thank our amazing sponsors. Today's podcast is driven by our friends at Albany Toyota.
And we are fed by our mates at Sal's Pizza.
And our tunes are brought to you from The Sound Store. So thanks so much. We want to give a special shout out to our friends at the Sound Store in Newmarket. Our good friend Chris Dutoit out there has an amazing showroom with lots of toys and lots of fun stuff and has the best sounds in Auckland, so go check him out. Wow, we're on this amazing topic at the moment, Nathan. But before we go, tell us a little bit more about who you are, what you love doing, and of course, make sure you weave in that cool scooter you got, mate. It's pretty gnarly. Do you actually own a car?
I do, yeah, but with petrol prices these days,
it's nuts.
Unbelievable. Yeah, it's only going to get worse as well. So, you know, I hope not, but, you know, what can you plan for?
So you've got the fastest scooter in Auckland, I think, but...
Well, yeah, I have to wear Kevlar. Well, I have to buy some Kevlar because if you come off that... Nah, not so good. Not so good. At least this has a shell. I'm basically just vulnerable. Not good. But yeah, so I'm a freelance writer and editor. That's what I love doing. I love making people's words the sexiest and clearest they possibly can be. Yeah. And I like writing. And both of those seem to merge together quite well, and there's plenty of need for it out there. So
important. And it's so important when, of course, there's so many messages flying around through marketing messages, through the media, that to cut through that, you really got to choose your words or get someone who knows how to do that to do it for you. And I can definitely vouch the importance of having a copywriter to, whether it's writing the words on your website or adverts or blogs or getting some PR out into the media for you. It really does make the difference. So get a hold of Nathan Smith from firsteditservices.com.
Yep, Nathan at firsteditservices.com. That's me.
That's right. Email this dude, Nathan at firsteditservices.com.
Yeah.
All right, today's amazing topic is breaking dangerous habits. It's so funny, Nathan, when we get people in the car, they're like, could have, there's a few I could have chosen from, you know. I think we all have those dangerous habits. And they don't have to be like, you know, getting addicted to drugs or anything. Like sometimes it's so small things that can kind of have the biggest damage. So what's it been for you, mate?
Well, I think lots of people will be able to resonate with this is the idea of just coasting is actually kind of a weird form of a habit. Like you just, and you kind of make the excuses about, oh, it's just looking at Instagram for half an hour. Oh, it's just checking my emails for a little longer than I should. Oh, it's just talking in the office or whatever. But often it's all just the same thing, and we hate that P word, but procrastination is a big problem and terrible for productivity. If you're a freelancer, a contractor, or even a salary man, you know, it's no one likes a procrastinator. But coasting is a slight twist on that, because you have this tendency often to sort of rest on your laurels a little bit. When you get a success, you're like, well, do I need to work hard really for the next couple of weeks? I've got this thing, let's just work through it. But then that couple of weeks turns up and you haven't prepared for the next move. So it's a lot of that is just about cutting, like I say, slicing out the little obsessions you have in your life, or the little habits you have, which can be digital. Sometimes they're personal, but coasting is a perennial problem.
It's a goodie, mate. It's a goodie. And so what one sort of lifestyle adjustment have you made to kind of make this work?
My big one is to remind myself about the terror of time by wearing one of these.
A watch?
A watch, especially a wristwatch, because I don't know, I'd rather replace a habit of, the reflex of pulling out a phone and then disappearing into that black hole with turning over my wrist and just looking at it.
Yeah.
I used to wear one when I was early teens, and then I stopped wearing one for 10 years longer. But I still had this weird tick of turning over my wrist whenever I wanted to figure out the time, even though I knew I wasn't wearing a watch.
Yeah.
And so wasn't too long ago, maybe a handful of years ago, where I realized, look, coasting is a little bit of a problem for anyone. I know myself a bit. I'm going to buy myself a watch, and it's analog too.
Yeah.
Not digital.
Yeah.
Because I think digital these days, with so much of the technology that's wrapped into these little devices on your wrist, you end up just being constantly distracted every day.
Yeah.
Little vibrations.
Yeah.
Well, that's a text. Another vibration. Well, that's a Facebook message. Oh, it's an email. And suddenly, the worst thing for creativity is distractions.
Absolutely.
And so I analog first. That's my main one.
There's something, I love the idea that when I put my phone down or my phone in the drawer, that I've left it there, right?
Yeah.
And yet people, I do have a watch that is an Apple Watch, and I have an Apple phone, but I specifically have all the notifications turned off that, when I put my phone down, it's down. Otherwise, the stupid things attached to me, right? I mean, hell, it's kind of scary to think that we're that, addicted and reliant upon having this blimmin' digital device on us.
Yeah.
And it controls you, right? And it's always crying out for attention, right? And it gets it.
It does get it.
Yeah.
People are naturally, and I think correctly, worried about, us becoming more reliant on technology. Even the idea of, it was science fiction, but people seem to be moving towards it. The idea of being an android, And I honestly think that with all this technology we have, we're pretty much in light android stage anyway.
Yes.
We're so connected to these things that
What is that?
Well, it's the idea of merging, human technology to sort of augment your own abilities. I get that. I understand it. Technology is a tool, can be used as that. But if you don't know how to use it, a hammer, you might as well just use it as a doorstop. And that's the same thing with a lot of digital stuff. Is that if it's a tool and it's used well, it's wonderful. If it's abused, you have a problem. And I think we are so attached now that we're basically just light androids, and that's a bit scary. So go back to analog, I say.
And it's a little bit off topic, but our phones really are for the phone companies and all the social media outlets, etc. That is just literally a personal radio screen that is attached to all these millions, gazillions of people live and walk in the earth, and they are so happy that you're holding on to it like your little security blanket, right?
Yeah.
You're always in your back pocket, and they can get you whenever they want you. That's flipping scary.
It is,
isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the best way that I sort of think about these devices is just tiny little, or large depending on how big your computer is, databases that connect to other databases. Every website is essentially just a large database.
Yeah.
And that's a place where you put your information and someone else can go and look at it, or you can go and look at it, or you can connect to other ones. And at that point, that sort of sterilizes the whole problem. That's not very sexy to say that Facebook is basically a large database.
Yeah.
But that's what it is.
Yeah.
And once you sterilize it, you can actually start to use it for what it's for, rather than this weird black hole. And isn't it interesting that when you turn off your phone, that old phrase of it being a black mirror is actually what it is. You stare at yourself in the mirror, you go, I hate myself now. I don't want it. That's why you immediately turn it off and you flip it over so you don't see yourself. But it is a bit depressing sometimes.
This is good stuff. Okay, so the bad habit is this habit of falling into coast mode.
Yeah.
Which is kind of, best described as kind of resting in your laurels, losing track of time, losing track of your life. I mean, gosh, minutes can turn into hours, hours into days, days into months, and months into years, right? I mean, and it's so true. Like 10 years you might have wanted to really achieve something in your life, and next minute 10 years is gone and you haven't done that, right? I mean, so, and then for you then, the breaking of the habit, or the key adjustment, was to put an analog watch, a little simple little tool, a simple little shift and change, and it has this little, kind of analog little arm. What do we call those? Clock
Hands.
Hands.
Yep.
Hands. That tick around, and it kind of just has this little way of what does it do to you?
Well, it's a fear. It's actually a motivating fear because you're watching your life tick away. I know it's a bit of a cliche to say that, but it really is, and you can't get back those minutes. And I think in business, it's pretty well known that time is money. You're essentially, when you go to work, you're trading your time for remuneration of some sort. But money is fungible. You can use it on anything. But what you can't use it on is buying back the time you already spent. And I think watching it tick away is a constant reminder that it's better than a calendar. It's better than an email reminder, because those things will tell you how much time you've got to waste until that's happening. Whereas a clock is telling you how much time you're wasting right now until that happens. And I think those sorts of that's a terrifying thing, but fear, like we're talking about with digital stuff, can be a tool if you know how to use it to motivate you. And I think for me, I think for a lot of other people, when you find yourself doing a job or going into a role or a career, it might have been a good idea at the time, or you might have just slipped somehow into it. And then, as you say, 10 years goes past super quick, and you look back and you go, was any of that really my idea? Was I in control at any point? Because there's only 12 months in a year, but those 12 months often look very, very similar. 10 is not a large number, but that's a big chunk of your time. And I think taking a bit more control over your time will bleed back into taking more control over your decisions in your day and your direction. That's the plan anyway.
That's so good. So you're let's say, for example, you have a day where it comes along and you've filtered into coasting, don't even know you're doing it, and then next minute your watch kind of grabs your attention. What is going through what's going through your thoughts at that point? What happens to kick you back into gear?
Well,
get you off your laurels.
I think it's a discipline thing. It's not a emotions can be, if I was to be scared all the time about it, then I probably would just be paralyzed. So the fear has to turn into a discipline. When the time is ticking away, the best thing to do is just do the hard thing first. Easy things are always coming. Whatever that part of the project is, you'll get to the easy things. But what your brain will be constantly saying is, this is too hard to start, or this is too hard to restart. But if you, as the Greeks used to say, part of Stoicism is you start with the hard things first, get them out of the way. And often the best place to do that, depending on if you're a morning person or not, is first thing in the morning. Coffee, maybe. Don't eat until 10 o'clock-ish, because that sort of ruins your brain a little bit. And then get straight into the hard thing. Once you get that out of the way, I think the rest of the day, you can feel a little easier if you start to coast.
Yes. That's cool. Love it. Was there a moment in your life that this kind of kicked in for you where you're like, crap, it's time to wake up?
Yeah, I think there was, when you're sort of changing, career, especially with freelancing, you can sort of get into a bit of, maybe you want your mornings to yourself, or maybe you want your afternoons to yourself. And that's fine, but that might be your brain sort of whispering in the background, it's okay to be a bit more lazy. Don't worry about it. I know you want to go kayaking and go on your scooter or whatever, but that's fine. It's not a problem. But then I realized, it was probably about a year and a half ago, maybe a bit longer, that although I'm an afternoon person, and I do all my best work in the afternoon evenings, I always have, which is a bit hard when you're working in a 9-to-5 salary job, but still, whatever. That I wanted to, maybe I should just use my mornings for whatever I wanted. And then I realized, actually, no, that's unfair on me, because if I'm working in the afternoons, and that's when it's the best time for me, and obviously, then I'm actually robbing myself of some enjoyability. So I decided to get a watch and just be like, no, mornings are where I do the hard stuff. Afternoons are where I do the stuff that's a little bit more fun for me. And it's turned out well. And I'm actually getting more productive by taking a little bit more control and realizing who I am, what sort of person, and how I respond to my hours in my day. So yeah, it's a little bit of self-insight, but it was a bit like a revelation, and I think buying a watch was part of that.
I'm loving this series, which is really, just talking to our guests about what's that one thing that they do that's been a game changer, or helps them live their best life, or just help them feel a bit free and not so sort of, weighed down in life. And the good thing is about it is they're simple and doable, and this could just be a simple little lifestyle change of putting a watch back on your wrist, and just being a little bit more aware of the minutes that pass by. And as you say, I love what you just said there about, giving yourself your best part of your day.
Yeah, I know. Because I don't know what COVID did to a lot of people's routines or just their ways of life. But I know a lot of people who went into lockdown and realized if they can't go out to restaurants or movies, or can't go overseas, why am I working so hard to earn all this money? Yeah. And a lot of people my age, and I'm 34, is they're starting to think, well, when all this opens back up again, why, if I'm just earning money for no real reason, I can't spend it, and I've lost the habit of spending it, then why am I working 40 hours a week? Can I renegotiate with my boss, or can I choose something else that I really want to do and start using this time a little bit more appropriately for themselves? And it's not a selfish thing. I think it's just realizing that some of the weird habits, some of the coasting habits you get into can often just be a big thing like 40-hour work week. Yeah. That is a habit. It's a weird habit. Yeah. But we've just been told that that's the way to do things for a long time. And whatever it was, I think COVID sort of gave it a bit of a kick. Yeah,
there was a bit of a silver lining, wasn't it, to allow us to actually realize that we can actually reset. I was just talking to someone actually this morning around the whole idea of planning in space and time for relaxation and those kind of things. And of course, you can get that kind of, like when you get inbox overwhelm where it just gets out of control. Sometimes your calendar can be like that, right? And, I actually think, I remember saying to someone, how do I deal with my inbox? It's just out of control. And they went, I'll help. Select all, delete, right?
Yeah.
What are you so scared of that you can't just push the reset button and go, you know what, I'm going to start with a blank page.
Yeah.
And there's something really liberating and empowering about, gosh, I can do it. And it's a scary thing, might be a bit of fear involved, but switch that into, motivating you or pushing you past procrastination to go, you know what, I actually have the power to shift and change these things, right?
Yeah.
And so, what you're talking about with time is, likes of COVID it's like, it enforced a reset button on a lot of us to go, actually, the way that you've been running your life by default, it's not necessarily the way it has to be forever.
Yeah. What do I want is probably the best place to start. If you were to sit down with a notepad and write out that, how long would it take you to fill it out? Because I think a lot of people probably haven't really thought about that. And if they are constantly reminded about the hands on the clock ticking their life away, so to speak, why is there a fear? Why is there an anxiety that sort of pops up in the back of their mind? Because anxiety is the only emotion that doesn't lie, right? If you're anxious about something, something's wrong. Whatever it is, you need to discover what it is. But when you say, what do I really want out of my day? And you're honest with yourself, do you have the ability to discover that? Have you ever actually asked that question about yourself? And I think, this is obviously, it's not quite a mindfulness mantra, but it is, I think, important now that we have this chance, this kick, this reset, so to speak, that COVID has given us, this opportunity. I think it's important to start asking those questions about yourself. What do you want? What do you want out of life?
Very good. All right, so someone's listening to this today and going, oh my goodness, I need this. Where the heck do they start?
At the watch store. I don't know if they still have watch jewelry store. Go to the jewelry store. And I would suggest buying not just one wristwatch. I would suggest buying clocks that you can hear around your house. Put one on your desk. Digital clocks, to me, they're just like a gateway drug, because as soon as you start looking at anything with an LCD screen, guess where your brain's dopamine will go next? Straight to your phone or Facebook or whatever. So you got to play little tricks on your brain all the time. It's trying to convince you to take the easy route all the time.
Yeah.
But you have to convince it that the easy route is not really for you. And so buy clocks, put them everywhere, and try to force yourself to train your brain pathways differently. When you look at the clock, it should scare you and motivate you in a positive way, I think, to go and do something hard. Now, get that out of the way so you can free up time to do fun things for yourself.
Brilliant.
Just the clock shows you how many hours are in the day, and there just aren't that many of them.
No. Mate, what a perfect way to end this little conversation, mate. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's been good.
And really motivating. Of course, if you want to get hold of Nathan, Nathan at firsteditservices.com. He is a guru when it comes to writing. And one smart guy. Like, we just love hanging out and having big chats, because this guy is far more intelligent than me, because of course he loves research, he loves digging things out, getting to the bottom, getting clarity and truth around topics and businesses and the brands and all those kind of things. So Nathan, firsteditservices.com is your man.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, mate.
Awesome. Well done.